Good afternoon to all IEM and UEM family members. And today also some physiotherapy is involved. So the topic is how to work from home pain-free. And you can understand what more relevant can it be. And when we are working from home, there are two types of pains which are definitely involved. One is the physical pain, and the furthermore pain is mental pain. So I'm sure Dr. Akanksha Sharma, who is from the Department of Physiotherapy of University of Engineering and Management, UEM Jaipur, will be focusing from both angles, like physical and mental, for this work from home, which is really stressful. And ergonomics, yes, it's very important to understand the ergonomics. And 101, it's very interesting. I asked her that why do you call it 101? She said 101 indicates introduction. So yes, very interesting. So thank you, Dr. Akanksha. You may kindly take over from here. It will be very useful for us. I'm quite sure about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. A very good afternoon to all of you present here. I would like to thank the management and my colleagues for providing me with this opportunity. Today, I'm going to talk about ergonomics and an introduction to ergonomics and how you can work from home pain-free. So after today's session, you will be able to answer the following questions. Like, what is ergonomics? What are WRMSDs? How can you evaluate your workplace? And how to ultimately work from home pain-free. So let's start. Ergonomics actually comes from a Greek word, the word ergon, which means work, and nomos, which means law. So ultimately, it is the law of work or science of work. It refers to the engineering and design of products and processes to reduce human error. So it will fit you to the job and fit the job to you. So as a result, it will increase your productivity and enhance safety and comfort. Now, there are two study areas in ergonomics. One is the worker and the other is the tool. Workers, when we talk about workers, we are asking what they bring to the job. For example, as a teacher, I bring my height, my weight, my reach, and my mental ability to the job. When I'm teaching in class, the table that I teach on, the whiteboard, it is according to my height. When I'm working at home, the chair that I sit on, the table that I keep my laptop on is according to my height. So that is the worker part of it. That what do I bring to the job? So I bring my physical and mental ability to the job. Now the tools are the tools that we use to do the job. So for example, right now while giving this talk, I'm using a laptop. So that is my tool. Or in class, my desk and my whiteboard are my tools. So what do they bring to the worker? Is your laptop structured in a way that it is causing you pain? Is it giving you repetitive stress? Is your chair in an angle that is giving you stress? That is the tool part. So the worker and the tool, when these two come together, then only can you do some task. So that is the ergonomic study. Now the ergonomic focus is the combination of all of this. The user or operator or person in this case, the individual that I am, depends on the tool, the task, and the workstation and environment. Now, what do I mean by this? The tool, like I already explained, is the laptop or the chair or the table. The task is the activity. Say right now I'm giving a talk. Earlier I was doing invigilation, or I may be giving an online class. That is the task. And the workstation is from the place where I work from, and the environment is what the environment is. So for example, I have a slow laptop and my task is to upload marks, and it is a time dependent task that I have to upload marks by 5 p.m. And in my workstation there is a lot of noise, there is some construction going around. As a result, the user, that is me, will end up being irritated. Why? Because my tool is not working properly. For the task, it is a time dependent task, so I have to work fast, and at the same time in my workstation there is a lot of noise. Or in my environment, say for example, I have less light. All of these things affect my task or my performance. So ergonomic focus is combining all of these. So for in this example, I need to get a new laptop. For the task, I need to understand, I need to have a clear communication with my department and understand what is the task. And for my workstation, I need to be in a place of quiet where I can work properly with efficient lighting. So ergonomic focus is the combination of the tool, the task, the workstation and environment. Then only can the user perform successfully. So improper ergonomic stress can cause joint pain, headache, eye strain, fatigue, poor concentration. As a result, you may have to take time out of work. You may lose productivity. Your home life can get affected, or ultimately you may feel unhappy or cranky because of pain. You can feel unhappy. Eye strain can give you loss of productivity. With fatigue, you can have poor home life. So this, all of them, there is a problem and then there is a consequence because of improper ergonomic stress. So the resulting injuries are called work-related musculoskeletal disorders. Why do we call it work-related? For example, if I have to sit and take class from morning 9 o'clock to evening 4 o'clock, I am sitting continuously for 5 hours during that period of time. Due to sitting continuously for 5 hours, I can have a back pain. Now, this back pain, I will not only take it here, I will take it to the kitchen when I'm cooking food for my family, when I am doing other tasks at my home. So I will be in pain continuously. And that pain has come from work. It has not come from, say, lifting anything or from any fall or any trauma. That is why we call these diseases work related musculoskeletal disorders, when my muscle and my skeletal is not in proper alignment and I have some pain because of my work position. These are called work related musculoskeletal disorders. Now, you may ask, why do these happen? First and foremost, they happen because of repetitive or prolonged activities. Like I said, sitting for long periods of time or standing for long periods of time, staying in one particular position can cause stress on your muscles. That can cause pain. It can also happen due to awkward posture or position for an extended time. Say, for example, you are working at the same time there is a phone call and you are working now like this. As a result, your neck is in an awkward position for an extended amount of time. So you can have neck pain. Also, static posture. Static posture is when one part of your body or one particular muscle remains in one position for a long time. It can also happen due to high or low temperatures. Say I sit in this room at 10 o'clock for work. At 10 o'clock, I have started the AC and now the air condition is on till 2 p.m. So for those 4 hours, continuously the AC was on high. As a result, my muscles can go into tightness. So continuous high or low temperatures for an extended time period can also cause pain. Forceful exertions, say reaching for something, can also cause pain. Now, what are the symptoms, you may ask? Symptoms of work-related musculoskeletal disorders can range from decreased range of motion that may result in loss of function or some kind of deformity or some cramping. There can be loss of color of some skin. There can be decreased grip strength. There can be loss of balance. You can have muscle fatigue or pain, some kind of headache. Even when your nervous system is involved, say if you're sitting for a long period of time and the nerves of your thigh get numb, they are compressed, so that can lead to numbness, stiffness. There can be tingling, there can also be swelling and redness. It can also cause eye fatigue. For an ergonomically sound workplace, you need two components. One is your physical ergonomics and one is your cognitive ergonomics. Let's see what these mean in detail. Physical ergonomics is concerned with the impact of anatomy, that is your body, your physical presence, and the physical environment. It is the interaction with these two. Say, for example, you have a very weak chair and your weight is more. So if you sit on that weak chair, the impact will be such that your back will have pain. Or in this picture, you can see the person's laptop is below and the person has to stoop over the laptop. As a result, he or she can have neck pain. So how your body interacts with the physical environment is what physical ergonomics is. So areas of focus include your motion, your workplace design, the comfort in using the devices, the working posture when you are working, what posture are you sitting in, and the work environment. The cognitive ergonomics is what we were talking about, the mental process. It is the impact of the mental process on the activity. So it is the understanding of how your work affects the mind and how the mind affects the work. Because sometimes if there is a deadline, then the work can start affecting the mind, that you are under stress, you have to finish this work fast. And sometimes if there is some family problem, or say right now we are listening to so many bad news from all the angle, from all aspects, so that can also affect your work. So it is the combination of how your work affects the mind and how the mind affects the work. So the areas of focus include your mental workload, how do you take decisions, your performance, also the human computer interaction. Nowadays we have to adapt when we are taking online classes or talks, or when we are meeting other people virtually, we have to adapt with the computer. We have to adjust, we have to learn so many things. I never used Google Meet before this COVID thing. Now I am skilled at using Google Meet, how to send the links and all. So the human and computer interaction also plays an important role. And of course work stress. So physical ergonomics and cognitive ergonomics, when these two are combined, you get an ergonomically sound workplace. That means to work, like how I said, we are talking about how to work from home pain free. So to work from home pain free, you need to have proper physical ergonomics. Your chair, desk, posture, everything needs to be fine. And at the same time, the cognitive aspect, that means your brain, your mental space also needs to be in sync. Then only can you work pain free. So let's evaluate your home office. I'm sure you may be using a chair. If you're not using a chair, you're using a sofa or a bed, I would request you to start using a chair immediately. So first you need to see how big is your chair. How high is it? What is the height of it? Does it have armrest? Does it not have armrest? When you sit on the chair, do your knees and your hips, are they at 90 degree? Is your feet touching your ground or not? You also need to evaluate your desk. Sometimes the desk can be low in position. No problem. You can keep a book and keep the laptop on it. Right now, I am having a big, thick book below my laptop to increase the level of my laptop. The computer monitor, if you're using a desktop, then the computer monitor or your laptop, how big is it? The size and the positioning. One very important thing that we overlook is the keyboard and the mouse. We will come to that later. The lighting in the room, is there sufficient lighting? Do you have to squint when you're reading? So what is the light? You also have to evaluate the time spent in front of a screen. The repeated postures, in our cases, in most cases, it will be sitting. So sitting is the repeated posture. So how much time of your work day from 9 to 5 do you spend sitting? And where do you sit? How do you sit? And your mental health. Now, working from home pain free, when I say that, you have to remember the acronym NEW. NEW stands for, N is for neutral posture. Neutral means it is not in any forward or backward sense. It is neutral. A neutral seated posture includes sitting with the neck straight, shoulders straight down loosely at the sides. Your elbow should be at a right angle. The wrist should be straight. Low back supported on the backrest of chair. 90 degrees at the hip, 90 degrees at the knee, and feet flat on the floor or a footrest. Now, when we sit straight, we tend to slouch. So you need to remember your body has curves and your chair needs to support all those curves. For a lot of times at our low back, if you're sitting on a chair, you can see this right now, that when you're sitting, there is a gap between your lower back and the chair. Ideally, you should fill that gap with a small home cushion that will help keep your low back supported. the hips should always be at a 90 degree and the knees should also be at a 90 degree. With this, I mean that your thighs should be parallel to the ground. When we do this, sometimes if your chair is high enough, there may be a possibility that your feet are not reaching the ground. So in that case, keep a small footrest, like a bathroom patta, we call it a bathroom patta, or a cushion, or a small, in most tables, you must have seen there is a small angle for you to keep your feet. That supports your feet and reduces pain. So that is neutral posture. You need to remember neutral posture. When you're working, your elbow should also be at a right angle. The next E in new is eye and elbow height. Whenever you are seated or you're standing, whether you may be working when you're standing or you may be working when you're sitting, ensure that the keyboard's ASDF row, that is the second row, the middle row when you type, is always positioned at the elbow level. That means when you're trying to type, your elbows are straight. It should not go higher or it should not go below, because when it will go higher, you'll have to put more effort at your wrist and your elbow, and when it will go lower, you'll have to put more effort on your shoulders. Also, the top of the monitor should be slightly below the eye height or at the eye height. If it is up, then you will have to look at the monitor like this, like it's a god. So then your neck will have some pain. Now we come to the work area. This is the most neglected part. You have to segregate your work area into two. One is your primary work area and one is your secondary work area. The primary work area is the area when your elbows are at the side and hands can be moved. So items that you use more, like a mobile phone or a notepad, should be kept in the primary work area. Secondary work area is the area that is within the outstretched hands. So your bottle of water can be at the secondary work area. So if you remember new, that is neutral posture, eye and elbow height, and work area, then itself your pain will be decreased by 50%. Remember to avoid static and sustained posture. You may say that my posture is good. Despite that, I have back pain. A lot of people can complain that we in our offices, we use those revolving chairs. I keep cushion also. Then also I have back pain. Why? Because staying in one position, that is a static posture, for too long can cause problems. Muscles and soft tissues can fatigue, and smaller muscles fatigue earlier. If you remember, the muscles at the top of your neck behind are small muscles. They fatigue very fast. The other are the proximal muscles, such as the shoulder and back. They are also used to sustain smaller muscles, so they can also fatigue very easily. And repeated movements are underestimated. Say, for example, if I have a tear in my cloth, if I repeatedly use it, slowly the tear will increase. So even though you are sitting in the correct posture, if you are repeating your movement, remember that the small joints and small muscles can be easily overused, leading to a lot of pain. So you have to monitor your posture and keep moving. The human body is designed for movement. So you have to keep moving during works. Some examples are you can stand up and walk during meetings. Like we know every day that there is a talk at 4 o'clock. You can stand and see the talk. You can go and get a glass of water. You can keep your glass bottle a little away, and then every 1 hour you can keep an alarm on your phone. You can get up, go and get the glass of water. You can always stand up when you're talking on the phone, or you can walk when you're talking on the phone. Also, don't keep any dustbin near you. If you have some waste, you should always walk to the dustbin or the recycle bins and throw it. That way there is some movement. And you should change your posture, do a few stretches and shake. Vary your work task during the day. Don't spend full 9 to 5 sitting at the laptop. Sometimes when we don't have to use the laptop screen, that time you can walk. Or for your lunch, make it a point to walk into another room. Don't eat the food in the room that you're working in. I have some ergonomic tips as well. You should always adjust the chair or the seat height in a way that the thighs are approximately parallel to the floor, with the feet resting flat on the floor or a footrest. You should also reduce eye strain. This is one thing that we overlook. When we spend time on our laptop, say 9 to 5, we have finished work. But what happens after 5 o'clock? After 5 o'clock, we are all the time on our phone. So when you are on your phone, then also, or you are watching TV, then also your eyes are constantly getting strained. So you should take micro breaks and follow the 20-20-20 rule. What is the 20-20-20 rule? You should take a 20-second break every 20 minutes by looking at something at least 20 feet away. That will give your eyes some time to accommodate, and it will let the eye strain reduce. Also, incorporate stretch breaks. I will teach you some stretch exercise at the end of this talk. You should schedule your work so that prolonged seating posture can be avoided. And this is the most important. If your monitor is placed next to a window, prevent direct light on the monitor screen, or the monitor should be placed at a right angle to the window, because the glare will cause eye fatigue and dryness. I will demonstrate it to you right now. Say here on my right side is the window. If I work like this, then the light will come directly onto the monitor and the glare will be too much. So I keep it at the right angle. You may say that I can work by looking at the window as well. So if you work like this, then you're constantly facing the light and the light will come directly to your eye. So the glare will become too much. So always keep your monitor or your laptop next to a window at a right angle. That will reduce your glare, that will reduce the glare on the monitor and reduce your eye fatigue. You should also limit the time you work on your bed, because when we are working on our bed, say for example, you don't have to give any talk, or you don't have any invigilation or any online class, you only have to make a PPT. So you have taken your laptop to your bed and now you're making the PPT there. In the bed, you don't realize, but your neck and your back become awkward because you're not lying down, you're not sitting straight. We end up sitting like this, or we end up sitting like this. That ways also problem can occur. You also have to take cognitive care. You should have a healthy diet, have lots of green leafy vegetables, and the more colorful your food, the better it is for you. And keep hydrated. You should. It is recommended that you have at least 2 sips of water every hour. So nowadays there are a lot of apps that come to remind you to drink water. You can download them and use that. You should limit your tea, coffee, and alcohol intake because these contain caffeine. Yes, you may feel that you have a sudden burst of energy after having tea or coffee because of the caffeine, but that burst of energy will last for an hour. After that 1 hour, you will crash. And that's why the brain gets very irritated then. So limit your tea and coffee, especially only to 2 cups a day. Especially those who have diabetes, high blood sugar, and high blood pressure, you should not have more than 2 cups of tea or coffee in a day. You should also have adequate quality sleep. Recommended quality sleep is for 6 to 7 hours at least. For that, you stop using all your blue screen. So that means your laptop and your phone 1 hour before you go to sleep. You should aim to do 30 minutes of moderate physical activity daily. Nowadays, it is difficult. For those who have live in houses that have staircases, a good activity is to just simply after every 2 hours get up, go down, and then come back again. So that way you have one staircase activity. Or those who have a terrace or a room, you can walk in the room itself. Vigorous activity should be done once a week. I have found out that keeping plants is a very good way to have some activity, because then you're forced to water them. So that itself becomes an activity. You're taking care after them, and they're very good for your mental health. Meditation also helps. Now let's do some ergonomic exercises. I would request all of you to do these with me. The first exercise I want to teach you is a tricep stretch. These ergonomic exercises are the exercises that you can do while you're working. So tricep stretches, you raise your arm and bend it so that your hand reaches towards the opposite side. Use your other hand and pull the elbow towards your head. Hold for 30 seconds, 10 to 30 seconds, and repeat on the other side. Always remember to repeat exercises on both sides. Otherwise, you may have a risk of injury happening on the side that you have not exercised. So tricep stretch. Then you have an overhead stretch where you extend each arm overhead and reach to the opposite side. Hold for 10 to 30 seconds and again repeat on the other side. Then a shoulder shrug. These are great exercises to relax the neck. You raise both your shoulders at once up towards your ear and then drop them. Repeat them 10 times in each direction, up and down. A torso stretch or trunk rotation. This is slightly complicated. You keep your feet firmly on the ground. Now twist your upper body in the direction of the arm that's resting on the back of your chair. So you keep an arm on the back of your chair and twist. Now hold for 10 to 30 seconds and repeat on the other side. When you're exercising, if you exhale during the movement, you will have a greater range of motion. So that can also help you. And last, we will do eye palming. Eye palming is something that is great for teachers who have to take lots of online classes because that will reduce your eye strain when you're working on the laptop. When you're seating, brace your elbows at the edge of the desk and let your weight fall forward. Cup your hands over the eyes and you close your eyes. Inhale slowly through the nose and hold for 4 seconds. Continue deep breathing for 15 to 30 seconds. These will refresh your eyes. I also have one more tip to give. When you use your phone, always keep your phone on the non-dominant side. Like I'm right-handed, so make it a point to keep I will make it a point to keep my phone on the left side. Why? Because that way when I'm typing or I'm writing and I have a phone call, I can answer and do it. What happens when you keep it on the dominant side? You answer, keep your phone like this and keep on working. That way there is increased neck pressure. So ergonomically, you always have to remember that your posture and your cognitive, that is your mental activity, when combined together, will help you work from home pain-free. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, madam, I think should we shoot the poll first and then take the questions?
Sir. Yes, sir. Sure, sir.
So I have launched the poll and it says, do you think an understanding of ergonomics will help you avoid pain on a regular basis? Now you'll have to vote for whether you strongly agree or you agree or you disagree or you strongly disagree. So we will be waiting for the votes for 1 minute max to max, and we have reached 20 seconds. And the voting is very, very fast today, though at the end we reach almost the same number every day. So I request all members to kindly vote, because the voting strength is almost always 50% to 55%. So the same thing, it was very fast, it has slowed down and it will again stay within 50% to 55%. I will request all of you to kindly vote. Okay, so as then again, we have reached 52% votes in 1 minute. I closed it, I will share it. So 60% strongly agrees with you, 38% agrees. Disagree is not there, but strongly disagree. Maybe one person has strongly disagreed. I will try to find out why you have disagreed. I don't know any reason. I don't understand the reason. Anyway, madam, your comments, please. It's quite obvious, though.
Yes, I strongly believe that if we take care of our posture and how we sit, more than 70% of normal injuries, pain can be avoided. Being a physiotherapist, when we see patients, most of them have neck pain or back pain due to constant use of the laptop. So if we sit properly and if we take care of that posture, then most pain we can avoid.
Okay. So thank you for that. Now there are certain questions. I will firstly close this poll. Yeah. So there are certain questions in the questions box, but before that, let me comment that only a few moments back, when I was needing a bit of water, I just ordered my daughter, please bring the water for me. She ran to me with the water. I will cancel doing that from tomorrow, as you told that every time I should get up and do the work. I have also, while you were presenting, I just removed this waste bucket from my reach, so that I also need to get up sometimes and do that. Thank you for those guidelines, madam. And yes, this looking straight to the camera, or the laptop being in a position where you are able to look at the camera straight, is a very important requirement. And that is also an important requirement for good online teaching, because when you're a teacher, you're looking at the camera straight, means you are looking straight at the students' eyes. Now we know that as a teacher, we need to look straight to the students' eyes. So that way it is also needed for online teaching. Thank you for all those. I have got a question before I read all these questions, madam, though I don't know whether it's related too much to your topic or not. Like you are a physiotherapist, there are operation therapists available also. Now, does this ergonomics relate more to operation therapies? Like operation therapies, I got to understand they actually focus on these things, like where the chair, how to keep the chair, what should be the nature of the sofa, what should be the position of the laptop, all these things. They also, they actually care for that a lot.
Yes,
So
sir.
does this ergonomics relate more to the operation therapists?
Yes, sir. So actually, there are two parts to it. There are masters where you can do your masters in ergonomics engineering, and you become, so those people, those engineers and those therapists are mainly for designing the product. Like if you say for like Neil Kamal is a brand, or IKEA is a very famous brand. So these brands where furniture is designed, or a laptop for those, there are these wrist rest and the mouse pads. When these are designed, for those design, they require ergonomics engineers, but they are all generalized. How to use that chair to the best of your ability is where a physiotherapist comes in. So it's sort of a teamwork.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
So I understand that. Anyway, so I go to the questions. I don't
Yes.
find too many questions, but there are lots of comments though. So thank you, madam, for wonderful guidelines. Excellent presentation. Excellent presentation. Okay, I find a question very quickly. Dr. Shubroto Chattopadhyay asks, does work from home increase sedentary lifestyle?
Yes, sir, it completely does. Like how you said that, because when we are at home, we are also dependent on our family. So a lot of times lunch will come in. Like last week, I had back-to-back invigilation duties. So 1 to 2 was the break. My husband knew that, so he would bring the lunch here. So as a result, I spent most of my time sitting in this place only. That is why I'm again and again suggesting, make it a point not to eat where you work, or make it a point to walk from your workplace. Otherwise, sedentary lifestyle can be increased, because when we are coming to the college, even when our bus drops us from that gate, we have to walk to the building. So that much walking also we are not doing right now. So sedentary lifestyle does increase. So we have to find out small spaces where we can work, or where we can walk within our house to increase our movement, because body is designed for dynamic movement.
Okay, so the other comments are nice presentation, very helpful, very nice presentation, excellent presentation, helpful in this era of online teaching by Dr. Arnob Ghosh. Professor Shobik Roy, which do you think is the most important body part exercise which can help in overall mobility of a human being? If asked for one exercise only. Okay,
I
so
would
I
say
think
Surya
Professor Shob.
Namaskar.
Okay, okay.
So Surya Namaskar is one single exercise. It has 12 steps. It takes the entire body to do that exercise. Otherwise, it is very important to exercise the spine, the neck, and the back.
Okay, so there seems to be some external members also hearing you. Zareen Bano, I really don't know who he is. Excellent session. Thank you, Professor Zareen. And Shubhashish Rana, thank you, madam, for nice presentation. Okay, Professor Umesh Gurnani. Professor Umesh Gurnani writes, my research area is ergonomics, which is also an important part of mechanical engineering. I'm working on musculoskeletal disorders of dairy farm workers. can exercise or regular workout of different body parts help to overcome 100% of musculoskeletal disorders? I doubt this is possible up to some extent, but not 100%. Okay, so
There are two aspects involved in this. The first is the tool. Like I said, when we study ergonomics, there are two areas. One is the worker and one is the tool. So we can do the exercise for the worker, but we also need to identify a lot of times for these farm workers and laborers, they have to bend a lot. So in that bending, they may have backache. If we alter how they bend, if we ask them to squat or move their knees, then that part can be controlled. So worker part, when we focus on exercise and all, I'm sure 90% of the pain can be reduced, but that 10% also comes from the tool. So we need to modify the tool according to the worker.
Okay, thank you, madam. So yes, there are many other comments like thank you, timely and nice presentation by Dr. Deepak Shaha. Professor Umesh Gurnani agrees 100% with your comments. Professor Pratap Mukherjee writes, this is one of the best presentations. Thank you, Professor Pratap. So on behalf of madam, definitely she is also thanking you. Arun Kumar Chatterjee, sir, clarifies a doubt. Zarin Bano is a first year student. Okay, so thank you, Zarin. I was thinking you're a professor, but okay, it's a good comment. Being a student, thank you. So thank you. I don't find any other questions over here, so we can end it over here. But yes, it was definitely a nice presentation. I will upload it in UM Jaipur official channel and also our IMUM official channel maybe. So all of you are requested to kindly go through those YouTube channels and get these videos. If you're interested, you can kindly subscribe to the video, to that channel also. Thank you, madam. Thanks to all of you. Thank you, madam. Thanks to all IM and UM family members.
Hello everyone, I am Professor Dr. Vishwajoy Chatterjee. I am the Vice Chancellor of University of Engineering and Management, UEM Jaipur. Today I am going to talk to those students who want to pursue a career in medical but somehow did not have the opportunity to pursue MBBS. Now question is there any alternative? There are several alternatives, but I am going to talk about a special alternative which is BPT. And the speciality about this alternative is that in this profession, physiotherapy, which you become a physiotherapist after completing a course of 4.5 years in BPT, you can write a doctor in front of your name, followed by a PT at the end. I repeat, BPT or Bachelor of Physiotherapy is a 4.5 years degree course, 4.5 years degree course, where after completion of this, you become a doctor in physiotherapy. You can write a doctor in front of your name, followed by a PT at that end. It is a wonderful alternative for a medical profession. If you want to be a doctor, then this is a wonderful profession, wonderful option if you are having some problem not to pursue MBBS. Let me tell you that a physiotherapist has got some advantage over the other medical professions that you can think of. Immediately a profession that may come to your mind is nursing. You might think I can also intend to study nursing as an alternative of medical profession, alternative of MBBS. But remember, in nursing, if you become a nurse, then you don't become independent like a doctor. A physiotherapist can open his or her own chamber where a patient can directly visit without being referred to by a doctor. Whereas in case of nursing, you become a nurse where you need to work under a doctor either in a hospital or in his or her own chamber. So that is the advantage of having a course, a degree of physiotherapy. Nowadays, you can see around, there are several chambers that are opened by physiotherapists where people visit normally without being referred by doctor. People do have problems, who have orthopedic problems, who have other problems. They directly visit the physiotherapist and remain under a physiotherapist under long treatment. You can understand that this course or being a physiotherapist is of immense opportunities, of immense advantage at that time. Now, I would like to also tell you that being a physiotherapist, what are the career options that you might have? See, you can become a sports therapist. You know that in sports, physiotherapists are needed continuously with sports person. You can become a sports therapist. You can become a physiotherapist with your own chamber, which I have already mentioned. Several hospitals, or if not all, needs a lot of physiotherapists and keeps a lot of physiotherapists, because it normally says that in an operation, whenever an operation is done, a physiotherapist must be involved in it. As a result, the different hospitals have got enormous number of physiotherapists in it. As I said, you can have your own chamber. Then the other option that is possible is a public health official. You can go for a government job and you can become a health officer. Though this job is partially admin, but you get more and more responsibility with seniority. So these are the several options that you have. Comes the respect. If you say, are the physiotherapists given the same respect as the doctor? Yes, I can write doctor in front of my name. I can put a PT at the end. But are the physiotherapists given the same respect? In some other countries, I have seen that the physiotherapists are given more respect compared to the doctors, only because of the reason that physiotherapists treat without medicine, whereas doctors treat with medicine. Without medicine, you are treating a patient and treating him and making him absolutely fit for regular life. So that is the beauty of this course. I will invite all of you to come to this course, join this course, and if you talk about some other points in physiotherapy, that is also there. I can tell you some other point which I had noted down, like hospitals, as I said, need physiotherapists in ICU, IPD, OPD, and definitely there are several options in sports therapy, government jobs, as I mentioned. Now, the course name is BPT, and I invite you all, if you are interested in this course, then you might call in the given phone number 9887313330 for my university, which is University of Engineering and Management, UEM Jaipur. If you are interested, you call in this number and you can enroll for this course. You get the opportunity to become a doctor in physiotherapy. I will invite all of you to come to this course. Our university has got several tie-ups with several hospitals all around. They do a lot of internships, our students. They get involved with the hospitals right from the beginning. Right from the beginning of the course, they become involved with the doctors, they become involved with the hospitals, they spend their time in the hospitals, they learn. So these are so many options that you get right from the beginning. Apart from that, our students are continuously involving themselves in medical camps. They conduct frequent medical camps where patients come and they treat the patients directly during their student tenure. When they are students, they are doing this so that they get the practical exposure and become professional when they actually get the opportunity. So these are the several options. And one more thing I missed out is in our university, patients directly come. We have got a hospital associated with us in our campus where patients directly come for physiotherapy and the students directly get an option to treat those patients under the supervision of their teachers who are doctors. I invite you all to UEM Jaipur, University of Engineering and Management, UEM Jaipur. You can note down the number 9887313330. Till this situation is over, the situation of crisis COVID-19 is over, the entire course is possible to be conducted or taken in online mode. Till the situation is over. Thank you. Thanks to all of you. Note down the number 9887313330.